Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I told you that as the war progresses, we're going to hear about mercenaries more and more. And some of them will be named volunteers in my assessment. Some of them, I think it's possible to be regular military personnel from other countries, moving into Ukraine and having a badge saying volunteer and signing some paperwork before entering Ukraine as volunteers. And when they're done with everything, they either go and see Jesus or they go back home and they get back into their ranks as military personnel. I don't see that scenario as impossible whatsoever. Why? Because they do everything they can to win. That's what you do. And you try to keep the lead over this kind of things so people like us continue to support our country's efforts in fighting the evil. All right? So, what's going on here? The Russians report that they blew up about 400 mercenaries. Can you believe that? Well, we'll see. So this is the article coming from Sputnik. It is from today, the 27th of April 2023. Ukraine loses over 400, so it's over, my bad, over 400 military mercenaries in Donetsk direction in 24 hours. So they killed both military and mercenaries in Donetsk direction. So let's see how that happened. So Sputnik says that Ukraine lost over 400 military and mercenaries and 14 equipment units in the Donetsk direction in the past 24 hours. Now, what's Donetsk direction? Let's see. So we have this Russian map here. This is where the front is, Donetsk. Donetsk is located in this area right here. So we have here Donetsk direction. Could be anywhere from Artemovsk to Avdiivka, Marinka, all these things are in Donetsk right here. This is the border with Luhansk. This is the border with Zaporozhye right here. So everywhere on this direction, they say they destroyed over 400 on a map. Bigger map is like this. So in this area. So in the past 24 hours, the Russians claim they destroyed over 400 military and mercenaries. So let's see. And I'm quoting: more than 400 Ukrainian servicemen and mercenaries, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, 6 armored fighting vehicles, 4 cars, D-20 and D-30 howitzers, as well as a self-propelled artillery installation, Gvozdika, were destroyed. In addition, a US-made AN/TPQ-50 counter-battery radar was destroyed, end quote, the ministry said. Assault detachments continue to destroy units of the enemy in the western part of Artemovsk. Artemovsk is Bakhmut, so they're talking about right here. Artemovsk, and it says in the western part of Artemovsk. This is the western part right here. If we take the city being like this big, the Russians are trying to encircle it, so they are hitting right here. So this is assault detachments continue to destroy units of the enemy in the western part of Artemovsk, taking control of 4 more districts in the northwestern, western, and southwestern parts of the city. So that is that everywhere here then. Northwest, southwest, west. So that means everywhere. Okay, if you say so. Remember, this is what the Russians say. When I report on what the Ukrainians say, the same thing. You know what I'm talking about. Moscow started a special military operation. Okay, so this is just extra. So this is what we have to take from whatever these guys say. So Ukraine loses 400 military and mercenaries, and situation in Bakhmut, Artemovsk deteriorates, according to the Russians, that they were able to take control of 4 more districts in northwestern, western, and southwestern parts of the city. As I said already, This is a Russian report. Remember, the Ukrainians supposedly have this, how they call it now? I call it stormtrooper detachment of about 40,000 volunteers. It's called like immediate or fast or storm offensive troops groups, something like that. They're ready with those guys. I don't know if those guys were already deployed. And supposedly Ukraine also has about 40,000 or between 40 and 60,000 people, somehow military personnel in NATO countries where they get trained. Well, I don't know if those 60 are just used as when they come back, they're going to be, as I said at the beginning of this video, people with ranks. Yes, sir, just take this badge off, give me the other one, attach it here. I'm a volunteer right now. That can sound, oh my God, that's a no. Just history gives us a lot of examples. I'm saying this is not something that is out of normality. Do I know if that happens? No, I don't. But I'm 99% certain, based on past examples and knowledge, that is nothing impossible. And it's very interesting that the Ukrainians were able to send this amount of troops to get trained by Lithuanian or Estonians or Canadians on the territory of, I don't know, Germany and Poland and so on, when they were needed right there at the front, in some situations where they were, losing. Now the front is as it is, like they need a lot of manpower right now in Artemovsk, Bakhmut. Then they have 60,000 people trained by Estonians. Why would the Estonians train the Ukrainians? What do the Estonians or the Canadians or I don't know, any country, maybe aside from two countries, let's say Great Britain and maybe France, let's put it, United States, about how they should conduct the war? I mean, and why? It's like the Ukrainians lived in a cave for the past, 75 years after the Second World War or something. I mean, this is stupid. Anyway, I understand that probably you need officers to tell you left, right, down, up, shoot, pop up. That's it. But other than that, why would an Estonian officer know more than a Ukrainian officer? There's no way. Why? Because the documentation is the same. What do you think the Estonian or the Canadian will teach the Ukrainian? To fight better? Like what? Why? They have their own styles and the Ukrainians are... We didn't know that, man. That's the art of war, which is universal. We didn't pay attention to what the Russians were doing in Syria. For example, only you paid attention. Yeah, okay, now we know. Do you think those guys that are trained over there are trained with tactical... No, they're, hey, hoorah, let's go. And they probably organize them on, detachments, how to, function and coordinate. Other than that, bye-bye, go and fight. What do you think is happening over there? Do you think that they're trained on tanks, on airplanes, or what? And even if they're trained, they're not 60,000. But anyway, what do I know? The fact is, not the fact. The report is that the Russians destroyed 400 military and mercenaries in Donetsk Oblast in the 24 hours, plus those weapons, and they are advancing according to them. That you have to keep in mind when the Ukrainians are reporting the same thing according to them in Artemovsk, in Bakhmut. That's it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.